Today, I will talk about a mystery that combines prehistoric nuclear explosions, ancient civilizations, and mysterious texts in the archaeological world, the Mohenjo-daro site. Mohenjo-daro is on the right bank of the Indus River, northern Sindh province, southern Pakistan. Mohenjo-daro is the Sindhi language, which means mound of the dead men. The legend of Mohenjo-daro gradually faded as Muslims ruled the area for nearly 1,000 years. In 1922, archaeologists excavated the Mohenjo-daro site for the first time and identified it was built 4,600 years ago with a very high developed civilization. Unfortunately, it was destroyed about 4,000 years ago, probably by a massive explosion. Just as people understood the Tunguska event in the 1910s, the explosion was much easier for people in the 1920s to understand than it is for us today. They speculated that it could be due to a low-altitude explosion of the meteorite, possibly due to ball lightning, etc. Either way, it was a big explosion. But it wasn't until 1945, when the United States conducted the first human nuclear explosion experiment in New Mexico, that archaeologists were shocked. It is the same explosion that devastated Mohenjo-daro 4,000 years ago, and it seems that the power of the U.S. nuclear explosion experiment is not as powerful as it was 4,000 years ago. Why do we say that? Because a large number of vitrified stones appeared at the center point of the explosion of Mohenjo-daro. How did these vitrified stones come from? This problem has puzzled archaeologists for more than 20 years. However, it was not until the nuclear explosion experiment in the United States also blew up these vitrified stones that people suddenly realized that it required tens of thousands of degrees of high temperature to vitrify the rocks. The nuclear explosion technology that humanity has just mastered is the only way to reach such high temperatures. At this time, the Indian with Mahabharata and Ramayana, two prehistoric legends, said, "Our ancestors have long described nuclear explosions, planes, and flying saucers in books." Do you still think these are myths? Believe it now, this is in the history books. Mohenjo-daro was destroyed by a nuclear war. However, more bizarre archaeological discoveries followed. After radioactive tests, the Mohenjo-daro site did not have radioactive decay, and the nuclear explosion was basically ruled out. However, ruling out a nuclear explosion also means that the technology that triggered this big explosion 4,000 years ago is at a level that we have yet to reach today. With such an astonishing conclusion, after the last excavation in 1965, officials announced a permanent ban on excavations in the city of Mohenjo-daro. Archaeologists say several points of evidence that Mohenjo-daro reached an extremely high level of civilization 4,600 years ago. First of all, the whole city is planned to be highly modern, with sewers, sewage treatment centers, water wells, two-story buildings, public bathrooms, large barns, and even house numbers. Second, the entire city is made of uniform-sized bricks. Third, the vast city is estimated to accommodate 35,000 to 100,000 people, but no palaces, temples, or governments have been found. That is to say, the residents here are free and equal citizens who are not subject to all rights, such as imperial power, gold power, divine power, administrative power, and so on. It is unmatched by our civilized society today because we at least need the government to exercise executive authority and manage the country and the city. Their city center is a huge public bathroom, a place for social entertainment for the whole people. The residents have a lot of leisure time for social recreation and relaxation, which is unmatched in our busy society today. It may be paradise in Western culture, Sukhavati in Buddhist texts, and the land of Huangzu in Eastern culture. Then the Indian with Mahabharata and Ramayana spoke again. They say, "How can this be great?" In our history books, the kingdom established by Krishna 5,000 years before Mohenjo-daro, that is the real paradise. Back then, we had planes, nuclear bombs, everything. Today's airplanes, and even the flying saucers that have not been invented yet, are almost identical to the images in our ancient paintings. We still call the plane Vimana, which is a title from our ancient books. The scene of the Hiroshima nuclear explosion is the same as the Agni-weapon described in our ancient books. Huge light balls, poisonous dust, instantly evaporated river water and soldiers, and the scene where the soldiers who survived took off their armor and washed the radioactive dust in the river. No matter how you look at it, it seems like an actual nuclear war portrayal. In addition, we are good at mathematics and strong in logic, which is also innate. In our culture, the largest mathematical unit is the kalpa, 4.4 billion years, and the smallest is the kana, 8/100ths of a billion seconds. These maths are definitely not mathematical units used in life. One kalpa, 4.4 billion years, is precisely the half-life of uranium-238. A kaya, 8/100ths of a billion seconds, is precisely the life of a K-meson. So the ancestors of our ancient Indian civilization had more advanced science and technology than today, which is not delusional. No wonder today's top nuclear physicists say that when they've worked so hard to climb the mountain, they might find that Buddha is already sitting there. No wonder CERN, the top scientific institution today, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, uses the Hindu Shiva as its logo. However, the ancient Indian civilization that retains the most primitive Mahabharata and Ramayana, the inhabitants of Mohenjo-daro, who are they? We know nothing. 500 years before the Aryan invasion, the creators of this mysterious group of ancient Indian civilizations, as if they had really experienced a nuclear war, all suddenly disappeared, leaving only the two extensive ruins of Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and countless tiny ruins along the Indus River. We even found only 44 mortal remains in the city of Mohenjo-daro, which can accommodate 100,000 people. Does a nuclear explosion kill these 44 remains? Where has everyone else gone? Who are these people? It is still a mystery. In the dead city of Mohenjo-daro, they also left many stamp seals, and on the stamp seal are their texts, which are rich and detailed. Presumably, these stamp seals are used to indicate the brand of the goods. It also found the acceptance of express delivery and the patterns on these stamp seals in Sumerian. These packages with stamp seals are likely to be from Sumer's delivery. They left behind a lot of text, all of which are related to commerce and commodities. They have a developed social system and a high level of technology and a civilization based on business. If these words are deciphered one day, we will be able to communicate with them. Imagine when Jean-François Champollion deciphered the ancient Egyptian script. We all exclaimed that how could they be pharaohs? They are aliens. When Zecharia Sitchin told the story of the Sumerian clay tablets, we were all excited. It turned out that we were gold miners created by aliens. And when the ancient Indian script is deciphered, what kind of ancient story will they tell us? Mohenjo-daro is really a mystery, and if there is an answer, I think we can only say this. Today's human civilization has passed 10,000 years from the establishment of religion and the agricultural revolution to today's technological society. However, the blank period of the development of Homo sapiens discovered by archaeology so far is as long as 100,000 years. According to our current development rate, these 100,000 years are enough to destroy and rebirth our civilization several times. The truth may be, as the Indians say, Shiva sleeps on the boundless serpent, and when he wakes up, he will destroy the world. After the world is destroyed, Brahma will recreate a civilization, and Vishnu is responsible for protecting us. The Mohenjo-daro we excavated and the ancient Indian civilization we discovered today may be the last wave of civilization that Shiva destroyed. In reality, Shiva is CERN, a group of physics gods committed to creating black holes and creating the universe in the Large Hadron Collider. So it's no surprise why they worship Shiva.